Aloha, all you moneymakers out there. This is Indar Lang, and I have a great podcast today with my good buddy, Omni Casey. And I've known Omni for a couple years now, and we've just grown very close to each other, just really close, good friends. I think we're naturally good friends, and the real estate thing just made us closer in general. And super excited to have him on today. Omni's a beast guy. He's doing a project right now. It's 3.5 billion is the whole project, right? It's crazy. I mean, billion, man.
Yeah.
We get to use the word billion today, so that's pretty amazing to even speak of that word. So yeah, let's jump into it. Let's jump into this episode. So let's do it, guys. Just before we get started, I'd love it if you guys could subscribe below, and that way we can reach more people and just help people make their money work for them in any different way we can. Thank you guys, and let's get started in today's content. So yeah, so right on, man. Thank you for coming on today. Super excited. You're local, born and raised, Big Island, Oahu boy. boy.
Yeah.
So and you live up in the East Coast now today.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit of the backstory for all the people who don't know who you are and so
Yeah.
forth.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Excited to be on your show. I know you do big things out there, in Hawaii as well. And we got some common, groups and friends that we got to get to kind of hang out with quite often. But, I'm not in Hawaii now like you. I kind of get jealous every time I see you posting because you're crushing it in real estate, but you're also in Hawaii as well. And I'm freezing up here on the East Coast, but I'm here just outside of Washington, D.C. Your Northern Virginia market. Been here for, I think, almost 12 years now. I've been doing real estate for 20 years. I started in Hawaii. I was on Oahu. My family's out on the North Shore. Live out in that, Ka'awa, Punuhaula, region there. Nothing else is out there, right? You drive out there and there's a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
You keep driving, there's another 7-Eleven. That's it, right? So nothing to do.
It's such a mission for me to go. Every time you come, I'm like, I want to go visit you. It's like,
how many times I go out there, I say, come to our meetup. And he's like, oh, that's far. Yeah, that is far. But yeah, so I started out there and I was a real estate investor. I don't know if you know this. So in Haleiwa, Surf and Sea, right? So there's a really famous surf shop out there. I actually worked out there as a surfboard salesperson. There's a lot of other things that we did. And then people would come in, right? And they would sell surfboards on consignment, and sometimes the store owner wouldn't buy them. And then I'd go buy them. Like, all right, grab them in the parking lot. Let me buy that. And so I got really good at fixing up and flipping surfboards. Right. So that was like one of my side gigs. Before I really knew real estate, right? I just like you, or just like most, I stumbled across Rich Dad Poor Dad and a few other books that just, altered my mind a little bit. And then I really started to get obsessed with real estate. And
you had an entrepreneur background too. You did the clothing too. I mean, the clothing too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a business right out of college. Me and a buddy opened up, a couple buddies opened up a store at Ala Moana Shopping Center. So we had like a retail, a store there. We sold clothing. We sold, I think, energy drinks at some point. I don't remember what we were doing, but we just sold like whatever we can bring in and sell for a profit, we did. And so that was fun, experience, trial and error through your own experience. I quickly learned I did not want to be in retail at all. I hated the fact that, because we're the owners of the store, but we're the only employees because there's no money coming in yet. So we had to grind it out. And those are brutal hours to do it. Eventually we got to the point where we were able to reach a level of success and expand it and hire some employees and step away. And at that point I'm like, it's not for me. so I pivoted, and on that time I found real estate. Met one of my mentors, selling him a surfboard at Surf and Sea, and really, start to talk about, real estate with anyone that was willing to talk about it with me, and was lucky enough to kind of, find some people that were allowed me to tag along with them, if you will. And so that started my journey as a real estate investor. I eventually became a real estate agent and broker as well. Been doing everything real estate related for the last 20 years. About 12 years ago, my wife's from the mainland, from the East Coast, and it just got to a point where I said, hey, we can do this anywhere, right? Real estate is something that we can be successful at anywhere, whether it's real estate investing, whether it's, being on the retail side as well. And she wanted to move back closer to her family. And so we made that move, and it's a interesting shift to go from Hawaii to the East Coast, but
Yes.
I do like it out here. It's a better time zone than you guys. So the
Yeah.
one thing I do like is the time zone. I'm able to interact with so many other markets from where I am and be on a more reasonable time zone. And that kind of expanded my investing
Mm.
opportunities and markets that I was more comfortable diving into. So that's basically it. I've done a lot of
You left out all the
education.
fun stuff. You built this huge brokerage. How many agents were you up to? Like 90 agents or something?
So we
It
got up
was
to about 100
100.
real estate agents, and really the focus, really for the last few years, was real estate agents that were investors as well. So investor friendly real estate agents. One of my frustrations, when I was just an investor, not an agent, was no one really knew how to help me. Right? I
Yeah.
didn't really know how to help me because I was new. But you can't find an agent that knew how to help you because they weren't real estate investors as well. They didn't really know what you were looking for. And so I got my license really because of that. And then along the way, I really liked the agent business. I like the brokerage business. But I realized that's just a job, right? It's an independent contractor job. You can make a lot of money as an agent, but at the end of the day, there's no retirement, there's no financial freedom tied to that. No matter how much money you make, the moment you stop doing
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, the active role, right? Just like on the fix and flip side or the wholesale side, the agent side is very similar. You can make really nice paychecks, but if you want to take off for a month or a year, no one's paying you anything, right? And so
Yeah.
had to learn how to convert that to passive income. And really my passion has been helping my agents make money and convert that to passive income so that they can go buy their rental properties, they can go house hack, they can go do whatever they want. So at some point, if they want to step back from being an agent or step back from an active real estate investor role, they'll have that passive side. So yeah, it's been rewarding for the last 10 years here.
But you left out a little
Yeah.
more of it. So these agents now are looking for investing properties, great investment properties. And if they didn't buy it, you would end up buying it. And you buy, what is it, like 4 to 10 units? You loved, what was you loved the kind of the smaller.
Yeah, so I
t-
like the small multifamily. So I
yeah.
mean, I've started with condos, and I did single family homes, and then went to multifamily because I primarily buy cash flow.
Yeah.
I fix and flip a handful. I'm nowhere near what you do, Indar, but my focus is absolutely cash flow. So if I buy
Mhm.
something, I'd love to never ever sell it. And then things price per rent, ratios, typically your multifamily does a little bit better.
Mhm.
So anywhere between 2 units, upwards of 20 units or so, is that sweet spot where there's not a ton of competition, right? Once you get to 50, 100 units, you got the big syndicators out there that you're
Mhm.
competing with. But in this smaller space, there's not a ton of competition. And then beyond that, I specialized in buying out mom and pop landlords, their entire portfolio. So like I just met someone today out in Front Royal, Virginia,
Mhm.
and he's been doing it for 20 plus years. He's 75 years old. He has 44 units and they all need work, right? And he's like at the point of, am I going to go through all my properties right now? And am I going to take on these to restabilize them after 20 years, if you will,
Yeah.
or do I just sell them off? And he prefers to sell them off, but it's hard for him or any mom and pop landlord to sell their entire portfolio, especially if there's debt across it. A lot of them get cross collateralized debt, and it's hard
Mhm.
for them to sell one of their units or one of their properties. They often got to sell them all together
Mhm.
because there's
Mhm.
some complications that they might run into.
With the
So
loan. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
try to find those landlords, and I offer them a solution to buy their entire portfolio. That usually means I'm buying the good stuff and the bad stuff all together, and then I fix and flip or sell off or wholesale the ones that I don't want. And then I pick and choose the ones that I do want and just kind of do the burst strategy and
Yeah.
refinance those with long-term debt on the back end. So
I
that's
remember last
primarily my
year.
focus.
Last year, you had the goal. We were just there. You were just there. We were trying to make 50,
Yeah.
not units, but 50 properties. You were trying
So
to get there, and you were
52. So
like,
my goal was, and I don't really remember why I did the goal. So I just like, all right, I think I was kind of getting bored and everyone's trying to this was like 2020, 2021, where like the inventory was tough, right? Remember how
yeah.
crazy the market was. Inventory
Mhm.
was tough. And I coached agents. I have a group called the Cash for Breakfast Club, about 100 other investors, in the room. And the issue was people weren't doing a lot of deals because they couldn't find those deals. And I'm like, you can find deals. You got to put the effort out. You got to tell people what you're looking for. And so I decided to kind of set a personal goal for me, which is higher than I've ever done before, but one property per week. So I want to buy 52 properties in 52 weeks. And all that meant was I needed to step up my game much more than what I was normally doing. I needed to analyze more deals. I needed to put more time into networking. I needed to be more open about telling the world, here's what I want to do. And so for the entire year, I told everyone, I'm doing 52 properties in 52 weeks. Send me a deal. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I'm looking for. That from within my real estate brokerage, my agents, my real estate education group, they've sent me a lot of deals. And then a lot of my property managers, I started to tell them as well, I'm looking to expand. Anyone that you're managing for, or anyone that comes across your desk that wants to exit as a landlord, that they want to retire, if you will, send them my way and I'll buy it from them. I'll make sure that they're happy. And then you as a property manager get to keep that portfolio or those houses or properties within your portfolio. So it's a win-win. I didn't get to 52. I ended up closing on 46. I had more than 52 under contract, but one owner just like could not get his act together by the end. We ended up closing the first week of January, but still, it still bugs me. I never actually got the 52.
You made it. You made it.
Yeah, but it was way more than what I normally do, right? So it's all about pushing yourself. And I couldn't have done that just saying I want to do 52. I decided I need to do 52. And then what are the actions that I need to do every single day to get me more of those opportunities?
And these are 52 properties. Some of these are fourplexes, duplexes, 10plexes.
Yeah. 52 properties, anywhere between vacant development land, have a few of those, to two duplex, fourplexes, upwards of 20 units or so.
Yeah, I wonder what the door count would actually be. I always love doors, but you like properties.
You know what? I'm terrible at door count because for me, to be honest, they're one economic unit for me. Like I don't like when you have a duplex or a fourplex, like, and when you play in a small multifamily place, it's not per door. It's not that entire thing brings in, because it's one tax, it's one maintenance, it's one, all of that. I think once you get to the large scale syndications, right? The multi-hundred unit or 1,000 unit, then the door count starts to make a little bit more sense. On this side, I just count no matter what. I don't care how many doors it is. That's one economic unit coming in.
I like that goal of 52 in 52 weeks. I kind of want to steal that and try that.
Do it, man. Let's do it. Yeah. I mean, this year I was thinking, do I do it again? But man, I'm exhausted. I was exhausted. So here's the what you don't look at, right? So I push, you buy, and I'm glad I bought every single thing that I did, but all I did was stack up, properties, and most of what I buy is value add. So I had like
a lot of work,
18-month backlog of renovations that I need to do. I did not have a team to be able to, do that. So I had a backlog of turning those properties over that I'm still working through. But my guys are happy because it keeps them busy. But I think once I get through that backlog, then I'm going to say, what's my next goal? Am I going through 52 again? Am I going to crank it up to another level? Not quite sure yet.
That's what people don't realize, is they don't cash flow right away. You have to stabilize these things, and they take a year, 2 years, to
absolutely
before they're healthy running properties to run for, 15, 20 years after that. But it takes a little bit of upfront.
It is, yeah. And a lot of what I buy is because you're buying it from landlords, they're typically occupied. They're typically occupied or semi-occupied, right? And to be honest, if it was vacant, it'd be so much easier, right? Go in there, just tear it apart, put it back together, and now everything's beautiful. But when you have, let's say, a 4-unit and 3 are occupied, one's on a month-to-month, one's on, a year left, and that one, you got to renovate the whole building, you got to renovate the vacant property right away, and then whenever someone moves out, you got to be ready to not just do a turnover, but you're going to do a full rehab, right? And so it's not the most efficient way to go about the process, but the positive side of that is you're at least getting income, right? You're at least getting cash flow. It's almost like having a 2-year-long flip, which sounds terrible, but you have cash flow coming in, nowhere near the potential of what the cash flow eventually could be, but cash flow for now.
Yeah, and then you can burn it out later and take your money out and keep doing more and more. I just love your whole strategy, because there's an underlining to it all. I mean, you have your brokerage firm with your agents who are printing you money, and you're using that same agent pool to potentially find your deals. It's just like this one big loop circuit of it. I love it, and it's amazing. And but you just sold your brokerage firm, so but you still have your connections. So
Yeah, so the brokers, it was interesting. You're exactly right. So I don't know if it sounds like an amazing master plan right now. I don't think that was like the master plan. Like it was just like I get
it just all
frustrated with
worked out
something.
personally.
I could do this better. Let me do this, and then I build something around it. Towards the end, the last few years, I realized, okay, yeah, absolutely, huge benefit of bringing in leads or bringing in opportunities there. But it's a big commitment, a big time commitment as well. And so although I'm still affiliated with the brokerage, I'm licensed in 5 states, but I'm not an active agent or anything, but it does help me with my real estate business still. But really, that allowed me to shift. And when I quote unquote retired from my broker role, right, that responsibility I had for 10 years, that allowed me to kind of focus more on the public education, the Cash Flow Breakfast Club meetup that I do about once a month, and that's probably the most rewarding thing that I do. I get to new investors, intermediate investors, high level investors. Some of them are agents, but most of them are not. And then the deal flow within that group is really, really cool. And you don't just have multifamily people or single family people or short-term rental. Like there's a whole mix of residential, commercial, wholesalers, fix and flippers, everyone in that room. And so there's an ecosystem there that really everyone benefits from. And I said, you know what, I think this is something that I want to put more time and effort to perfecting. And my goal was to expand our program or our meetup brand nationwide. And so that finally had the time to do that over the last few weeks. And we've been rapidly expanding just in the last month or so.
Man, I see you just becoming a coach here shortly. You're just gonna, it's a natural progression. It's just gonna, you're gonna get you have your book, and you're just gonna have your coaching program. I think you are. But we didn't even get to touch about your huge project, your big boy, the beast.
Sure.
So if anyone doesn't know, Omni is developing not just like a building or he's building like a whole community, a whole city. It's a stadium, a medical center. I think, is there a multifamily building in this development?
There's multifamily in there. Yeah.
Yeah, there medical facility.
It's a mini city. It's a mini city. And it's still early in the process. And there's so many hurdles that I'm learning how to get through, right? There's so many zoning hurdles that you need to get through, the proffers that you need to get approved. We're doing this in a unique ownership structure. It's a nonprofit ownership structure, which complicates things. Amazing benefits for the financing when you're doing that. But the reality is it's this big goal or dream that we're working on. And it's been a year and a half maybe that we've been kind of visualizing and working towards this. The last 6 months, it's like, all right, we're almost there. And so we started the syndication raise towards the end of last year.
50 million,
$52 million.
52,
yeah. Accredited investors, so 506c. It's a 12-year development project, right? So me as an investor, well, I'm excited to be involved from a developer standpoint, but as an investor, I don't want to be investing in a 12-year project before I start to see my returns. It's such a big project, so we structured it where the investors actually start to see a return in year 1, year 2, year 3, and are able to exit after just a few years. So it's a unique structure, but all it really comes down to is, can we problem solve? Because every time we get to the next level, there's a new set of problems that I've never dealt with, no one on my team has ever dealt with, and we got to figure out, how do we problem solve this? How do we overcome this? And so it's been interesting. I've probably learned more in the last 6 months, in the realm of zoning and developing and fundraising and nonprofits than anyone probably needs to know in a lifetime. But our goal is in the next few months, we get that off the ground. But it's still, we don't have the definite timeline because of the zoning.
But so this crazy development. So you're buying this huge part of land in was it Lancaster, right?
Northern Virginia, where I live. Yeah, Northern Virginia,
What was
Loudoun
this?
County. Virginia.
Loudoun. So Loudoun County is one of the high end, or what was it? The high end county? What was it county? It was
So
the
Loudoun County, so it's where all the tech jobs is, all the government jobs. So we have
yeah,
the highest median income in the U.S.
yeah,
In this county, and for the last 10 years, probably we've been in the top, 2 or 3, and the second highest is our neighboring county. And so in this area, there's a lot of high paying income jobs,
yeah.
but there's
But
not
you have
there's
no
not no
outlets.
like
There's no,
destination.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
So people have to travel into closer to, Tyson's or DC, to kind of get any sort of entertainment, concert, sports, any real shopping. So definitely there's a need for it. But it's also, when you live in a high income area, you have people that move here, they love it, and they don't want anyone else to develop behind once they move in, right? So it's, don't develop here. And so those are the obstacles that we have to overcome and deal with as
And
well.
that's how you change to the nonprofit and some of those kind of the switches you
Yeah,
did at
the
the,
nonprofit structure helps us to kind of get a little bit more of the support, right? Because we are, in reality, as a for-profit, we probably would not get approved. We probably would not have the support, and we still have a hurdle to get through. But as a nonprofit, we are going to run a very, very profitable city
yeah,
organization. But the proceeds are going to go back into subsidizing some very high end housing for veterans, and subsidizing some business opportunities for some of our disadvantaged communities that we have in this area. And so, it's a way to use capitalism. I was talking to our mutual mentor, Brandon Turner, about this. He's running his business, right? The Better Life business, and it's not a nonprofit, but he is making a lot of money and using capitalism to do something
mhm,
good, right? He's going to be donating a lot of that. So very, very similar thing. We run a very successful business, and then hopefully the proceeds from that successful business goes to, uplift the community or make an impact in a way that's meaningful to us.
yeah. It's pretty amazing. It's amazing how you structure this deal and bring in the Chase banks to get insurance and doing the whole bonding and everything and figuring out that part of it all. I mean, you mentioned something earlier about just figuring it out, and I feel like real estate in general, as my journey has grown through real estate, is like, first of all, real estate was its own language, so I had to figure out just real estate in general. But
Yeah.
there's no one in this business that ever like kind of holds your hand or knows sometimes, or it's mostly you figuring it out and making these really hard decisions that I mean, you can run by your friends and mentors, but ultimately you have to figure out so much different hurdles a lot of time to overcome and figure out and to be creative or make deals work and finance this deal that way or what creative financing, whatever it may be. There's so much different. And in the commercial world, it's a whole nother, even next level stuff,
Yeah.
in the commercial world.
I mean,
It's like,
I would say, I mean, that's so important. That's huge what you just said, because I mean, just real estate investing, but you could probably say that for almost anything. Like
yeah,
most of us get good at something, right? We learn, we go to school, we get good at something, and then it becomes like autopilot for us, right? Whether it's our job, whether it's, our hobbies,
mhm,
whatever it is. And once it gets to autopilot, it's easy, maybe it's more fun, or maybe it's boring at that point, but we're not learning really at that point, right? We're not
mhm,
growing. Like if you go to the gym and you're struggling to start, but eventually you're lifting the same weight 5 years later and it's so easy, you're not actually growing at that point. You're maintaining. If you put yourself in position to struggle, to do something different, do something that you don't know, that's really where you learn, right? And so the first time I ever had to fix and flip, I had to find someone that knew how to do that, a mentor, but I struggled through that. He couldn't just tell me. I couldn't just read a book. I had to struggle through it myself, make some
yeah,
mistakes, and then it got to the point of, oh, okay, I got this. And then first time I wanted to be a landlord, first time I wanted to be a long distance, landlord, first time I wanted to wholesale, first time I wanted to be a part of a syndication. There's so many things you just don't know, and most people just don't even venture into that path. And
mhm,
I really try to look for things like, where are my blind spots? I'm really good at these things, and I'm going to
mhm,
kind of continue to do these things, but I want to, spend a good portion of my time working on something that I'm not good at.
mhm,
Good portion of time working on something that I might fail at, And because if it's something that I might fail at, that means that's something that is, causing some stress for me. And I believe a certain level of stress is good, because that actually forces us to grow and forces us to, kind of take our game to that next level. So I do
Yeah.
seek out some discomfort, and it's in the form of trying things that I'm not an expert in. And some of them I eventually figure out, some of them I don't, right? And so that's where you learn your growth potential there.
It's funny. My wife just told me that this morning, that I'm super stressed out. And it's like, well, you always are stressed out with some certain deal. It's like you just keep pushing these bigger deals and these bigger limits of figuring things out. And that's why you get kind of bored, is, sometimes,
Exactly.
I don't know how you're doing retired now, but
Well, I mean, that's such a funny word, right? Retired. All it means is I'm working more now. I'm working more on things that I'm
other
really, really
things.
excited
Yeah.
about, and things that I might fail at, right? Things that I am have not perfected. It's not on autopilot for me, but it does excite me, and it probably has more growth potential than anything I've done up until this point. And the only reason I'm able to do that, or want to do that now, is because now I have the bandwidth and the energy,
Mhm.
since I quote unquote retired, and I'm no longer playing the big commitment role that I was playing up until this point.
You just got, lack of a better word, you got bored over there. Do you want a next challenge, with the building the cash flow breakfast club, and of course the big development project and so forth,
Yeah,
and more
absolutely,
time with the
absolutely.
family too, of course. Um, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. That's amazing, the kind of things you've accomplished, and you're really humble about it. You don't like speak about it. I have to, when we hang out, I have to brag about you half the time.
Every
But
time
we
you introduce, like the number goes up every time. Oh, it started out as a $2
five
billion project.
five
No, it's a
billion, 6 billion.
5 billion. I think you started saying 7 billion at some point. I'm like, man, I gotta up my game a little bit.
5 billion.
No, yeah, I don't like talking about, and to be honest, in my mind, I haven't accomplished much. I have, I know we've talked about this, but there's imposter syndrome, right? You feel like, man,
Yeah,
there's always someone ahead of you. I'm always trying to
yeah,
get there. And no matter where you are on your journey, 20 years in, I still feel like, man, I wish I gotta get there, right? So I
yeah.
always feel like I'm so far
Me
behind.
too. Yeah, yeah,
Um, and I'm okay with that, because I don't think I'd ever want to be like, yeah, I'm good, right? I don't, the moment I stop like wanting more, I don't know what's gonna happen to me. I just like might disappear, right? I just might die at that
get
moment if
get
I'm not
bored.
trying to drive for something more. I'm not built for that, right? Some
Yeah,
people are built for just being content. I'm not built to be content, and most people that run businesses or investors are probably very similar. So I'm scared of the day that I might say I'm content.
yeah,
And every time I'm in a funk, like every time I'm feeling like man, I'm in a bad, whatever, whether it's a week, whether it's a month, whether it's a year, it usually comes down to I'm coasting, and it's
mhm,
on autopilot, and I'm not growing. I'm not like stretching myself. So maybe everything's going well with family, maybe everything's going well
yeah,
with business, and but it's coasting, and it really is. I'm built to build things, right? I'm
mhm.
like that. I really want to build things. And once it's built, I look at it, I'm like, man, I don't want to play with that anymore. I want to move on to the next thing and build something else. And hopefully
I'm
someone else can take over what I just built.
I'm bored of that. I'm
So
bored of
it's
that
probably
toy.
not
That
healthy.
that toy
Yeah,
is boring.
exactly.
I got to
It's
throw it
not
away.
healthy, but that's what it is. 100%.
It's called being an entrepreneur. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But that's amazing, man. That's amazing that you're doing that next big project. And I still keep thinking about that one goal, 52 homes in 52 weeks. I really want, I kind of want to do that goal. But
Do it,
we didn't
man.
even get to talk. So me and Omni has been in a lot of growth groups together, just from mindset groups to we've done the goal setting group with Brandon, and our social media groups, and all these different groups. We're in all these groups together, and actually half the time I think we end up on the same team too. And
Yeah.
um, even we did the Taro's
let's
event when we
let's throw
did the.
let's throw the two Hawaiians together.
Yeah, I think we just have the like
So let me ask you
behind
this.
it.
I mean, so I have my reasons why I'm in these groups, but we intentionally, right? We pay money. We seek out
Yeah.
these groups. Some of them we're invited to, so that means you got to have a minimum barrier of success to get there. But because you have groups. You have your network at home, right? Which is
Yeah.
valuable, but it is seeking out additional groups and additional, opportunities. What do you get out of that, or why specifically are you seeking to be a part of those groups?
I mean, it's so much more than just a simple answer. I mean, we're going to go Bunnets this weekend. Me and you are
Yeah,
hanging out. Go Bunnets, and that's a total different group. One, just being around like-minded people. I mean, me and you, you guys don't know, but me and I hang around, and we just could rap like no other. So just being around like-minded people that really are on the same level as you, and been through some of the same struggles. So certain people over here, I can't share maybe that struggle that I've been through, or they not made it through that struggle yet. So, being around a group member like that, where we, built businesses and grown, and, I have that entrepreneurial mindset, and we're both real estate related too. So that also, factors into some of it too. Um, and that, I think, just we all have that same growth mindset, and we have all of us in the group have that mindset of like helping each other too. I remember in Arizona, I really felt that in our Sedona group, like we were just all there to really help each other and help each other grow as humans. Not just not just in business, in our relationships, our health,
yeah.
and our fitness too. um our last Maui group, I don't even think we spoke about business. It was just all eh, health and
Most of it was
relationships. Yeah,
relationship, right?
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So it's
Yeah,
not.
so you're exactly right. We're in the room with, I don't know, 15, 20 of like the most epic real estate investors out there, right? Like
Yeah.
nationwide. Like these are some legit people. And real estate almost never comes up like in
It did.
terms of our discussion, right? So much of it is a human element, the
Hmm.
mental element.
Hmm.
We're all at a level and we're all kind of either like super excited or somewhat depressed, somewhere in between there, and
Yeah.
we're figuring out how to balance ourselves or manage that.
Yeah.
And there's something relatable to being with other people at that level that are going
Yeah.
through maybe not the exact same thing that you're going through, but for me to talk to someone that has never reached the level of real estate investor success or business success that I have, and to say, hey, I'm kind of feeling down. I'm there. The answer you get is like, oh, boo-hoo, right? I would
Yeah.
trade places with you almost any time, right? But the reality is there is a level of just managing and dealing with that,
Mhm.
that it's very rewarding. And I've had a principle at an early age of like whatever my income was, whatever I wanted my income to be, I've always felt that I needed to invest roughly 10% of that goal in
Mhm.
personal development.
Mhm.
And so if I was investing $10,000 a year, that was to get $100,000. If I'm investing $100,000 a year, that's to get $1 million, right? And so that's really what it comes down to. And I believe that, and I've always been able to do that. And so some of these things are financial investments. I mean, probably over $100,000 a year,
Yeah. Yeah.
over the
Yeah.
last few years would be
With
my
the
guess at
trips and
least.
flights and hotels. Yeah. Yeah. I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not to say they're not fun, but the reality is, all right, that pushes you. What am I going to get out of this, and how am I going to 10x this or more?
They're fun too.
And
They're fun too.
yeah, absolutely. But year after year, you're able to do that,
Yeah.
and really push yourself to kind of get to that next level, because you might be feeling like, okay, I'm going to coast for the next few years, and then I go to Hawaii and I meet an Indar, and he's like the biggest flipper in Hawaii, right? Or we chat with, you know, Brandon, we chat
Brandon.
with, Alex, like doing some awesome things. And we're like, all right, there's more that I can do. There's more that I could be doing. There's more that I can, the impact that we are meant to make doesn't end here.
And just putting us around people that are better than us too, as I like to hang out with you guys. But I remember we were at a goal setting in Las Vegas, and I had my goal setting to make 84,000 a month net passive, like, just passive. And we're sitting by somebody else, we won't say his name, but he had his goal to make $1 million a month net passive. It's just like, your goals sometimes are a lot, you know it's your goals are never big
Yeah,
enough, or there's always a
you're
bigger
exactly right. Right,
fish in the
pushes you
room.
to the whole nother level.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's his
we can
name.
have a conversation about that guy too. But yeah, yeah.
No, no, I don't want any conversation. Don't even bring up that name. But anyone listening knows. Anyone not listening doesn't know. but
He hit his goals. It just wasn't legal. No.
Yeah, but there's always some great people in the groups and that we meet. And I'm going to I think you kind of led me into Go Abundance because we were hanging out at that last event in San Diego, and you kind of
Yeah.
led me into Go Abundance. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
I
this.
pulled you along to a lot of the
Yeah,
GoBundance things. So
yeah,
when we went to Bigger Pockets events, GoBundance had its own kind of sub group at Bigger Pockets, like 50 plus people, right?
yeah,
And most people maybe have heard of GoBundance, but it's a high net worth group. You think you need like $2 million net worth to get in, or something along those lines.
yeah. It's
Um, and but the reality is, it's not the net worth really, but once you get to a certain level, there's different conversations and there's different problems, and really same reason why we kind of joined the mastermind, or kind of are part of these groups. GoBundance plays a very similar role. And it's not that we just talk about money all the time, because to me, money's not the most important thing. And for many people in the group, money's not the most important thing. But what can you do with that money? Or, what is the next level? Now that you have the money, all right, how are you going to live longer? How are you going to be a better dad? How are you going to be a better, spouse, or something along those lines? And really, it is built around making us better human beings,
Mhm.
which I need, right? Because I kind of get like focused on my
Yeah,
lane,
yeah,
and I forget to look up sometimes, come up for air. What can I be doing? And when every single week your group, your pod is like, all right, well, holding you accountable. You said you're going to do this, or you said you're going to give back here. You said that you're going to create this. It really is like just coaches in your corner all the time.
yeah. That's amazing about the group. And I'm gonna show up this weekend and just be. I want to be a student. I just want to be like a fly on the wall and come with the attitude of, you know, I won't say nothing and just listen. I just really want to come off as, I really want to build relationships with people, and excited about this because it's new to me, the group and so forth. So we're going to Tahoe, by the way, if anyone's listening. GoBundance is having
Yep.
their annual meeting up in Tahoe. And so we're going for about a week in Tahoe, and it should be fun. And we've got to do some skiing, of course. um, and then just, yeah, hanging out with people. I don't even think we're going to leave the resort. We're just going to pretty much be there the whole time. And
Yeah, there's just one networking event to mastermind event to education event, to some really cool activity. So we're gonna be exhausted the week after,
is,
but
is your family
during
coming?
that week.
Is your family
No,
coming?
no,
Okay.
no, not to this one.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. I can hang out with you. That's why I was checking. It's
there
like,
you go.
no family. Okay, no family for me. Okay, yeah. I'll call you up and be like, okay, where are
Yeah,
you going?
it's different, and I love traveling with my family, right? But it's always different, right? It's
Yeah, yeah,
different, because now my focus is on them, and so I
yeah,
try to split up my trips. Every time I go to a conference, my wife lets me go anywhere I want, as long as right before or right after she has the option of turning it into a vacation.
yeah,
So when I went to Hawaii, she didn't join our Maui mastermind, but she came right after, and then we had a week long vacation after that. When I went to Bigger Pockets in San Diego, she
yeah,
didn't go to that because she doesn't love attending those events, but she showed up right after,
yeah.
or maybe right before. So
And
balancing
Sedona,
that family. Yeah,
Sedona, Maui. Yeah,
exactly. Sedona
yeah,
as well, the same
yeah,
thing. So I love traveling with them, but when I'm in the mode of I want to network, I want to
yeah,
learn, like I'm there. I want to be in that
yeah.
moment, and they don't always want to be there. So we've found
It's
that happy balance
it's
there.
very different. At these events, we're really Go Bros. We're just buddies hanging out all day, 24 hours. Doing events and meetups and lunches and yeah, and I mean that's how you really bond with each other. I feel like we grow tight really
Exactly.
quickly too, and
Yep.
just in general, the groups that we're in, you already showing up with the group with the underlining trust factor to everybody and just commonality right off the bat a lot of times, and it's pretty
Absolutely.
amazing. It's tight. It's a tight group of people that we grown accustomed to. I think we have every event we have fun at. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think Arizona is probably the the funnest so far. Maybe I don't know.
Sedona is nice. Sedona is nice. Yeah, for sure.
I just want to take a quick second, and if you're enjoying our content, please subscribe below. I love it if you guys can leave us a review or a comment or let me know what you guys thought. I love honest feedback, and I love hearing what you guys think. We have this little segment here for Investor Insights, where people ask questions. Amanda asked a question. Do you have any advice for people who value networking but are more introverted and shy? This is kind of a good question for both of us because I
It's a
think
great
you're like
question.
me.
I mean, yeah. So I'm an introvert. You say, but you're not. I mean, you go out. You're really good at these events.
I'm not.
But yeah, when you're compared to some that are more extroverted, right? You can tell the difference, and it really comes down to energy or what's your natural tendency. And I would say more than half of the investors that I deal with are not actual extroverts. They are introverts or somewhere on that scale there. And myself, if I had to choose, like, what am I comfortable? I know I should go to this networking event, but when I get there, I don't really want to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Maybe I hope someone comes and talks to me and I talk to one or two
Yes.
people, but that's really what it comes down to. And so my event that I run, the reason I run it the way it is it was really to help me. So our networking is not, hey, network, and we turn it into a game. We gamify it. We give everyone 15 minutes to go talk to 5 people. It's almost like speed dating, and there's a threat of being kicked out of the room if you don't talk to at least 5 people, right? And then we give prizes to the end. And so which sounds intense, especially if you're an introvert, but if everyone's doing it, then okay, you're going to do it. And then we give them pre-work, similar to like when we go to our masterminds, right? There's questions, there's pre-work before you get there. Like, just like, who are you? Like, where are you from? What's your passion? What do you do for work? What kind of investor are you? What do you want to buy next? So all these primer questions that most people would kind of know, but in the heat of a conversation, they're not thinking about, I should be talking about this. I should be talking about, what am I trying to do? I want to buy a deal. What do I need to buy my next deal? Do I need money? Do I need to find the deal? Do I need a developer? Do I need a contractor? So we give people thoughts and we make them write it down. And so people are literally standing with a sheet of paper talking to someone. And I just say, Harry, you gotta cover question 2, 5, 8, and 9. And it's almost like speed dating. But what that ends up helping with is you get so much across. Like, you get really good at networking. You get really good at telling people your story in a quick amount of time. And then at the end of the day, if you talk to 5, 10, 15, 20 people, you have their names and numbers. And then the goal is to, one, make a connection. And then hopefully you can have a follow-up coffee meeting, a follow-up conversation with them, and figuring out how can you help them with their goals. And then they might be able to figure out how can they help you with your goals. But if you show up to a networking event and you don't really know what your goals are, or you don't know what your next deal looks like, you're probably wasting your time. So putting the thought into yourself of answering those questions first will make it so much easier once you're actually at those events.
That's great. I mean, so I'm good when I am with you or with a friend. Like, I can go up to a group better, but for me, it's hard when you're by yourself, especially when we're going to a big event. Like, we're going to a big event. When you're kind of on your lone some self, it's intimidating. I'm very intimidated,
Sure.
shy to walk up to a group of 5 people. Honestly, I'd rather just go sit on my phone and hide in the corner and just you know be an introvert. But yeah, I
Yeah.
like have to force myself to, like, okay, let's do it. And then if you don't have the energy to do it, it's even harder. Like, but again, then again, there's a money factor. Like, I know we're paid money to be in these groups, or we pay to go to these events. So you you need to force yourself because you're paying paying for it too. So
Yeah,
that almost helps too.
absolutely. I just mentally prepare yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're preparing ahead of time, like in the moment, in the room, it's stress. I know that as introverts,
Yes.
there's stress. You just don't want to do it. But when you're by yourself, you prep. All right, here's the 2, 3, 4 things that I think I'm going to tell to everyone. Like, I'm
Yeah.
looking. So when I was looking for my 52 properties, that was it. Like, I just told property, hey, I'm trying to buy 52 properties. That's more than I've ever bought in 1 year. So anything you have, send my way. One, if you're going to buy it, buy it. But if you can't buy it, please think of me. And so
Mhm.
that was like my script. And I told everyone that. I put it out on social media. Every meetup I went to, go to like 2 or 3 various events a week, and just tell people that. And then people start to remember, oh yeah, he's looking for this area, this type of asset class, these type of properties. I'm not buying this portfolio. Let me go reach out to Omni. And so I got a lot of those introductions just based on being intentional. So many people come to a meetup and say, I'm looking for a deal. Send me a deal. Well, what does that mean? Right? You got to be
Mhm.
very specific. I'm looking for something in this price point in this area, that meets this criteria. And then they're more likely to actually remember what you're interested in, because
You just made me
everyone
think.
else is looking
You
for a
just made me
deal.
think. In the morning, I write down my goals, and I always like trying to like refine them and be more deliberate about them. How much, when, where. And now you made me want to go home in the morning and be more deliberate about my goals and the criteria of my property that I want to buy, like what
Absolutely.
sizes and what price points and so forth. And because it creates that you're just putting into the universe. And if you're very intentional, what you're gonna want and need, it's gonna come into fruition. So that's exciting.
Absolutely.
We just got a little bit off track there of the question, but if networking is definitely, we're all struggling with it. I think we all, in any group, just the smile, have that little pitch about yourself ready, a little quick elevator pitch. It's often called about you, who you are, and we're all shy, and I sometimes remember that too. That the other person is shy too, that I may be speaking to,
Yeah,
and you randomly might become good friends with somebody, and I think that's how we became good friends. Is you never
absolutely.
know. Um, Last part, deal of the week. So raising capital. I know you have this huge deal syndicate that you're doing, and you're looking to raise a little bit more. I think you're almost there to your goal, right? And
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
so 506C, if anyone's a accredited investor, feel free to reach out. It's a very unique deal. We tried to put some insurance behind it, so we know the downside risk, and it's very low, and the upside potential is very high. I've invested in many deals before, and I've never invested in a deal like this. Obviously, once again, we're still pre money at this point. We're taking soft commitments because we need to get all of our everything with the land and zoning, those hurdles overcome. But reach out to me, happy to explain it to you, send you some information. I would say
yeah,
probably I'm excited about that, but the thing I'm most excited and really focused on, is we're talking about this, is really the Cashflow Breakfast
the
Club
cash
kind of
flow.
expansion, right? So it really is the education event and network that we kind of created and perfected over the last few years. Went from one location. We had one second one open up in Hawaii. I have a third one in North Carolina on the coming up. And then Brandon is the one that said, just hire an intern or hire somebody to help you do this. And I did that several weeks ago, and we got
Mhm.
to the point of, we got like four, I think five more in the pipeline coming up.
Hmm.
And really every single one of these events is like, I love education, and there's so much good online education, right? You got podcasts like this, you have Bigger Pockets, you have YouTube. There's amazing online education, and nothing's going to take the place of that. But there's a lack of in-person
Mhm.
education or in-person mentorship and coaching, and really that's what it is. So we're not an online group; it is in-person only. And it's building these communities. And every time we've built it, it gets up to about 100 people, and we max it out. So it becomes a club of the same people over and over and over again. And you have a couple leaders of that group that are kind of teaching the content that we're providing them, that like the spectrum of everything there is in real estate investing, from beginner to intermediate to advanced stuff. And everyone in the room is looking for something a little bit different, right? So that becomes a community. And what we're seeing now, as we're going to, we have a goal of 100 locations over the next 3 years. um, every single one of those locations becomes an asset to someone else in my group, or someone else is in their group. If I want to start investing in Kentucky, right now, we have a group in Kentucky that has
Mhm.
100 people, investors, boots on the ground, that I can turn to, that we kind of speak the same language because we're learning the same stuff.
Yeah.
It all came from the same book, basically. So I'm excited about that community. It's not an online community, it's an in-person community, but that's, I would say, two
And
big
it's
things over the next few
exclusivity.
years.
One, you limit to 100. Two, you can get kicked out
Yeah,
of the group, so you don't want
absolutely.
to lose your spot in the group. I love how you do that with the group. You make it very exclusive, or not exclusive. You just
People
want
ask me, why do you kick people out? It makes no sense. You want more people. But the reality is, once we started kicking people out, we got more people to want to come in. Like,
Mhm.
I've ran meetups before, and I've been to meetups, like, anyone come, right? And that's how normal
Mhm.
meetups are. But then
Mhm.
sometimes you get 10, 15, 20 people there. And that's it, right? But when you say, all right, the doors are closing, you need to RSVP. And by the way, if you're going to show up, you need to meet a certain criteria. We have a criteria of, you can't just come and learn. You have to be committed to buying something. You have to buy something this year at a bare
Mhm.
minimum. Then you also need to be committed to hitting financial freedom through real estate, and we help you kind of create a goal for that. And then the third thing is, all right, once you're financially free, one of the questions I put on my questionnaire every single time, and it sounds really ridiculous, it's like a big question, but it's, what do you plan to do to change the world once you're financially free? All right, so
Mhm.
not just financial freedom, like, what are you going to do to change the world once you become financially free. And so that gives more purpose than just money. I know money is a big purpose for a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you become financially free, right, and then you're able to ideally maybe even impact your family, impact your community, maybe even impact the world, that gives you that much bigger of a purpose as well. So those three things we think about all the time: doing deals, financial freedom, and then changing the world. And that's too much for a lot of people. Some people show up, they hear the rules, and they're like, it's not for me, and that's okay. The people that stay know that everyone else is committed just like them to being all in on this, and hopefully making an impact. And so far it's proven to bring the right people in and keep the people that are not committed out.
That's amazing. I think this group's gonna keep growing. Of course, it sounds great.
Sure.
But so great stuff. Thank you so much. How does everyone find you on social media? How does everyone find the Breakfast Club, of course, too? How do you get more information on that?
Yeah, cashflowbreakfastclub.com. Cashflowbreakfastclub.com is the website for the club. If you want to start up your own club, it's free. We don't charge. I coach and I train other investors for free to help them start it up in their location. There's a minimum experience requirement, right? We don't want brand new people leading a group. We want people with experience to do that. But we provide you so much training, content, videos, all that, for free, because we want you to kind of build the brand and change your community. And we're going to try to help you do that. So that's it. Me personally, I'm on omnitheinvestorguy.com. I'm not huge on social media. I'm working on that.
Growing it.
I'm trying to be a little bit more like Indar here, and it's at Omni the Investor Guy on most of the social media channels.
Yeah. So yes, guys, come and please like and follow and subscribe and comment and ask questions. I think the biggest thing people don't do is ask questions. There's no stupid question. We've all been there and had those hard questions that we didn't know ourselves. And so don't be scared to ask questions, and please subscribe and like and comment on both of our social medias and platforms and so forth. And yeah, thank you everybody listening. Thank you for taking the time today and just talking story. I'm excited to hang out with you Sunday. We'll probably have dinner Sunday night, actually.
Yep.
And we got to do some skiing. So thank you for coming on, and thank you everyone for listening, everybody. Thank you guys, and have a great day. Aloha.
Aloha.